Okay, so the next game mechanic that we're going to put into this project is we're going to have keys and keys that can unlock doors, which will access different areas in like a map or something like that, or will let you get out of a certain area or something like that. So this one's going to be the trickiest thing we've done so far, and I've actually just got some little notes just to go off in case I mess up along the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a situation where we've got like an area you have to access, like a little panel or something, which will then spawn a key in another location, and then you need to have picked up that key to be able to then get to a door which will unlock if you have the key. Okay, so first things first, we need to go into our first person character because we need to create a new variable. Okay, and this variable is going to be a Boolean, so let's just create it first. So variable, we'll call it have key, question mark. So we can keep it as a Boolean because this, in this case, it is just going to be a yes or no situation. Do you have the key or do you not? And we compile. So by default, the do we have the key is going to be no, because we want the character to not have a key initially. Okay, so that's just a simple setup to get our variable ready. So you can close him down. And then what we need to do is just create this panel. So I'm going to create it as a blueprint. So blueprint class. It only needs to be an actor, it's not going to move around or anything. Call it panel, double click. Obviously, again, this is a situation where I'm just going to use a cube for this. Maybe make it a bit higher. Just because, you know, again, if this was a more professional game, then we would have a 3D model of a panel and everything, but we don't have that at the moment, so we're just using boxes, which is fine. We don't need anything in the event graph. We'll delete what's there. We literally just need something that shows that this is the panel. But what can be useful, what we haven't done yet, is we can add a component, if you just search for it, called text render. Okay, if I just move that up, you can see it actually adds some text which you can customize. Okay, so that can help with things like instructions to the player. So I'm just going to put go here to spawn key. It might not be that obvious in your game, depends how you want to do it, but yeah, I think you can change the color of the text. Yeah, you can. Let's make it like a nice bright color we can see. You can go through and you can change different settings and things. You can make the text 3D, you can make the text cast shadows and all sorts of things, but just keep it simple, I'm going to do that. So then I'm going to bring my panel into the game, put it on the ground, rotate it so that the player can see it. That will probably do. Okay, so playing my game, I can go over here, got this panel and the text there, which you can walk around kind of as an instruction so that the player knows what to do. Obviously within the game's design you need to make sure that the player actually understands what it is that they need to do to some extent. So that's the panel. And what we need to do is we need to put in front of it a new object called a trigger box or a box trigger. Okay, so we click and drag that into the game. This is something you won't see this in the game. It's like kind of like a box collision where you don't actually see it. But this is, rather than a box collision, it's called a box trigger, which can give us access to do different things. So I'm just going to put that right in front of the panel there, so that I know that the player needs to be in the trigger box area in order to activate what we need to do next. Okay, so next thing we want to do we need something for it to actually spawn before we can continue. So again, over here, go to blueprint class, make another actor, and call this the key. Right, and open up the key. Again, obviously, we would normally have like a model of a key or something, whatever you wanted the key object to be, depending on the game. So I'm just going to use what should we use? Sphere. I'll do. And I'm going to put maybe like a gold texture on it. This golden sphere is the key that we need. And again, we can put some text above it to help the player. Just write in key or something. Okay, put that above. Text color. Make it bright. Turn up the X and Y scale to 2, so a bit bigger. Try and get it in the middle. Alright, something else that can also help is the object rotate, or what do they call it? Rotating movement. Okay, so that rotating movement will make this whole thing kind of rotate, which again just sort of helps the player to recognize that that's something they've got to collect, because obviously in games a lot of the time things that are collectible, they kind of hover and rotate. I'm sure you've seen that before. So that's the kind of effect we're going to go for here, just by adding in that rotating movement. Okay, then we're going to come over to the event graph and get rid of everything that's there. So I'm going to go back to my notes to make sure I get the things right. Yep, cool. Okay, so back to our viewport. One thing I've just forgot to add is the box collision. So just make sure, obviously, you've got a box collision, which we need so that something that's going to indicate that the player has walked into this area, and it knows that it can then collect a key when the player overlaps the box collision. So go here, and then we're going to do a standard collision add-on component begin overlap. Okay, and that's a cast to, and then it's going to set. So then cast to first person character, and link that up to other actor, and that is then going to set have key. So remember that variable that we made within the character? That's why we're casting, so that we can pick up on this variable here. So it's going to set have key to true. Okay, so when the character overlaps the box, it's going to set have key to true, and then it should just then destroy the actor. But we're going to print a string. Okay, so a string is like a bit of text to the screen, and that can say whatever you want. So I'm going to say got the key. All right, and then you can change some things there if you want to, and then destroy actor. There. Okay, so then when it is picked up, it destroys itself. So quick recap on this bit. Target needs to be there, I think. Okay, so when we overlap with the collision box for the object, it looks in first person character and sets have key to yes, true. It'll print a string that says got the key and then destroys itself. Okay, so everything's ready for the key to do its thing. However, it's not going to spawn yet. Alright, so next thing we need to do is add another object into the map, and that is going to be called a target point. Alright, so we click and drag a target point in. The target point is we're going to use that as the spawn location. Okay, so let's say it's over the other side of the map. So you can design your map a lot better than mine. So just going to spawn over there. That'll do for now. Okay, and then we're going to need this one. So we've got this box trigger and our target point, but they're not part of a blueprint. They're just here within the level. Okay, so that's where we need to go up to, again, the blueprints for the level blueprint. Okay, because they're just within the level, they're not part of a specified blueprint. Let's open that up. Remember, we've got all our stuff for our spawning enemies, respawning enemies. That's fine, we'll leave that where it is. And in this one, we need an on actor begin overlap with that trigger box that we made. Okay, so luckily I've already got the trigger box selected, but normally, let's say you had the ground selected or something, what your options aren't going to be there that you need. So what you need to do is make sure the object you need to create some script for has been selected. So I've selected the trigger box. Then when I right click in here, we've got the events for it. Okay, and it needs to be add on actor begin overlap with the trigger box. Okay, so when our character is on there, we need to say it's the character. So cast to first person character, and yeah, the object can just go to there. What that's going to do is spawn actor. Okay, so remember we were spawning emitters previously when we did the explosions. What we're doing this time is spawning an actor. Okay, so class, the thing we want it to actually spawn is the key. Need to search for that. There it is, that we made earlier. Alright, and then the location, see the spawn transform, we need get actor transform. Okay, transform is all to do with location. And then so you've got the target point. So again, what we need to do, we need that target point, so we need to go back to the map, select the target point we want to refer to, because you could have multiple target points for other things. And then when we right click, we can create a reference to that target point, okay, which we can link up to the transform location. Okay, and if we compile that, that's all good. So what will happen now is this will spawn, what it should do, let's just check it. So when we play, go over and stand on the trigger box, and over there you see it spawned a key. Okay, and I can go over to the key, I can run into it, and in the top left it says got the key. Okay, let's make sure I've got enough time. Yep. So recap on that. If you look in the top left of the screen, near where mine says health, at the moment see there's no key there. Go over here, stand on the trigger box. The key is there now. Okay, and if I go and pick it up, in the top left it says got the key. Okay, so obviously we might want to link that to like a widget that says got the key in a bit more obvious text, but that's up to you. But the issue is at the moment, if I then went back to the panel again, it would spawn another key. Alright, if for some reason the player did this and then collected another key, that's actually going to have turned it off again. So now technically I don't have a key. Alright, so we need to stop the player from being able to do that. So we're going to go back into the level blueprint. So once the key has been spawned like this, we then need to destroy actor. And the target should be the trigger box, which is what you need a reference for. So go over here, select the trigger box again, and then right click and create a reference to that trigger box, and we can link that up to the destroy actor. Oh, we just had a massive bit of thunder here. Okay, so compile that. So what will happen now is once we've spawned the key, it destroys the trigger box so that we can't use it anymore. Okay, So that's all for this bit. Hopefully that works.